So, a recent topic of conversation has come up about whether or not Paige Bueckers is actually not even the best player on the UConn team, and whether or not it is Sarah Strong. But for me, I don't think really there's much validity to this argument. Like, I literally got shared a video and it's like Caitlin Clark YouTubers hate on Paige Bueckers. But like for me personally, I just think the Paige Bueckers has potential to be the second best guard in the WNBA. And I think that unless her mentality changes, that's not going to happen. But I think people are going a bit too far when they're talking about the Sarah Strong versus Paige Bueckers arguments. Because like Sarah Strong is averaging 16, 7, and 4 assists. Paige Bueckers is averaging 19, 5, and 5 assists. And they're both shooting the same percentage from the field. Whereas Sarah Strong doesn't really shoot the three ball that much. She's shooting at 35%. Paige Bueckers is shooting the three ball at 42%, which is impressive with 56% from the field. And the efficiency is crazy. But I just still think it's just crazy to say that Paige is not the best player on our team. Before we get on to that, lads, we are 54 subscribers away from 40k. If we could hit that by tomorrow, that would be insane. That was our goal by Christmas. If we could do that by tomorrow, that would be absolutely ridiculous. But we got to talk about this. Yes, Sarah Strong has looked better at times than Paige. I'll admit that. I think everyone will admit that. At the same time, this is a UConn team where players don't really get their stats up at UConn. And that's the one reason I'm like, it kind of annoys me, because for a sport to grow, players need to be individuals. And I think that's the biggest problem when it came to the WNBA is, I get it, it's a team sport, but it's also a spectator sport. And for a league to grow, it has to become a better product for the spectators. And individualism is something that is going to get spectators. Like, I'm sorry, there were a lot of great team players that were really great third, fourth options, but everyone wanted to be like Michael Jordan. In the women's side, everyone's going to want to be like Caitlin Clark. And I mean that there's not going to be anybody. This is the way I'm going to describe this. Do you guys, if you guys grew up playing basketball, you guys would always, you would always have that one coach tell the players, I want you to be like this person. I don't want you to be like this superstar. I just trying to think off the top of my head. Like, I want you to be like, or I want you to watch college basketball. I don't want you to watch the NBA. I don't want you to try and emulate the best. But you still went and did it. Like, you still went and did it. And that's what's going to happen is, like, you're going to have coaches being like, I want you to be like Paige. Don't want you to be like Caitlin. Paige Bueckers on a team of all 5 stars, by her trying to fit in, has made 1 championship game. Caitlin Clark on a team where she played with no 5 stars, and Hannah Stuelke was the only 4-star I think she played with, and she tried to fit out, has made 2 championship games. So there's a difference there, and that's just the reality of it. I think Sarah Strong is going to be really good, by the way. And Sarah Strong is somebody, because she doesn't dominate the ball, she's like a undersized 4, 5. She can play inside, she can shoot the ball a little bit. I think Sarah Strong's really, really good. I think she does a lot of really good stuff on the floor. I think UConn is good for somewhere like her. And just like I think for the likes of Chloe Kitts, for the likes of Tahina Powpow, for the likes of Raven Johnson, for Aaliyah Boston, for Camila Cardoso, for Ashlyn Watkins, for all of these like bigs, I really think South Carolina is a great place for you to go. Whereas if you want to ask my opinion on Malaysia Fulwiley, I don't think it's a fit. When you are a player that would suit better fitting out and you're being told to fit in, especially when at the next level you're going to be good enough to fit out, I think that that's not going to be good for the game. And I do think the Paige Bueckers going back for this 5th year is not doing herself any good. Paige Bueckers is averaging 3 less points than she did last year. She's a super senior. And I get it, she's been injured and stuff. She is a super senior. And she's going to be a first team All-American. I get it, the efficiency's crazy. But this is a year, and it's funny because in games where she should be trying new things, be trying to play outside the box, be willing to miss some shots, she's focusing so much on her efficiency that, like, she's not doing anything against the bad teams. And she was great against Ole Miss. 29 points. Like, that was a great, great game. And look, the game that she's playing against Notre Dame, I think she's going to prove herself as the best player on the team. Like, Paige Bueckers is the best player. I don't care what anyone says, she's the best player on the UConn Huskies. It's just, is Paige Bueckers going to just be another player? Another really good player? Or is Paige Bueckers going to be Paige Buckets? I think it's going to be the former. And it's the reason why there's even this conversation. And as great as Sarah Strong is, she's a 19-year-old. This isn't like who's the best player on the Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark or Kelsey Mitchell. I think a big reason why it's very obvious, you could argue that it's Caitlin Clark, is that, actually, to be fair, over that 10-game stretch, I think Kelsey Mitchell was as good. It was just for the rest of the season, Kelsey Mitchell had a lot of really, really poor stretches in the season. But I do think there is at least a debate there. And that's the problem, is like, this is a debate, and it's a bit different when you're being compared, when the debate is, are you better than Kelsey Mitchell versus are you better than a 19-year-old, albeit a great 19-year-old. And that's just a problem with, I feel, with Paige, is that she is fitting in, and I understand the logic of this is about winning a championship. But there's only so long you can hold back on fitting out before it affects you. Before that affects you. Like, I don't see Paige Bueckers. I see Paige Bueckers as somebody who has the ability to be literally the second best guard in the WNBA by the end of next year. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. When you've got a Caitlin Clark who came in and immediately was full court press from the start, and it only made her better. Didn't back down, it only made her better. Paige Bueckers is going to come in. There's not going to be that same, we want to stop her. She's going to be guarded normally, and she's going to be fine. She's going to go, I've said it, I think she's going to average close to 15, 5, and 5. And I think that's like almost where her peak is going to be. Like, she's going to be 24 right after her rookie year. She's older than Aaliyah Boston. Like, if she comes in and averages single digits in the W, it would not be that surprising, but it would be an extreme concern. It would be an extreme concern. And I really just want to see Paige Bueckers start to take over games, because in pro basketball, it's not college. Yes, you have a bunch of 5 stars around you, but you're playing a bunch of 5 stars. You're playing the best in the world against you every single night. And if she's someone who's deferring, and you're like, oh, she's trying to get her teammates involved, she does it almost every single time she plays against a bad team. And then we've seen it when, at the start of the year, when she wanted to turn it on, even in preseason, she had like 18 and a half. And now this year, it's like, I'm going to be like more timid. I'm going to take less shots. I'm going to focus more on efficiency instead of just going and doing what people say my name is, go and get buckets. Go and get buckets. Because, like, it was not Paige Buckets in the first half in their last game. Heck, it wasn't even Paige Bucket. She didn't even have a free throw. She wasn't even Paige Bucket in that half. And the reason why it's frustrating watching is I'm watching this UConn team, and UConn are really good. UConn could be good. UConn are going to, when the going gets tough, you need your stars to play like stars. In one-off games, you need them to play like stars. And Paige Bueckers was not great in the Final Four last year. Like, look, was she terrible? No, she wasn't great. She outplayed Juju in the Elite Eight. I'll give her that. But for this team to beat this South Carolina team, and South Carolina, since that loss, like, I watched their first game against Michigan. They looked terrible. I watched a couple of games for South Carolina when they looked genuinely terrible at the start of the year. Well, not terrible, but like not the number 1 ranked team in the nation. And I said, there's no way they go undefeated. They get destroyed by UCLA and look like they're a freaking brand new team. They look like a brand new team since that loss. And you've got Notre Dame, who are still going to be tough. And that's going to be a really interesting game because Notre Dame outclassed you guys at the guard position. Paige Bueckers is the best player on her team. But Paige Bueckers, I think the more she tries to just say, the more she defers at the college level, the more she's going to continue to defer at the pro level. And if you want to be a transcendent player, you better know that you are Paige freaking Bueckers. And that, I think that's the problem with Paige Bueckers is Paige Bueckers knew she was Paige Bueckers in high school. Paige Bueckers knew she was Paige Bueckers as a freshman. I don't think Paige Bueckers at this point in time realizes that she's Paige Bueckers. And I think that's the big problem, is that they're now a freaking conversation if Sarah Strong's better than her. Which Sarah Strong's brilliant, a great freshman, one of the top freshmen in the nation. She is not better than Paige Bueckers. But from watching these games over the course of the season, I can see why these conversations are happening.